We all go through periods of distress or pain in our life, don't we? Maybe you're going through that now. Paul tells us there's two ways that we can handle distress or a painful time in our life. And I want to talk about that in your morning cup of inspiration. Thanks for joining me today. I found a verse in 2 Corinthians that I want to share real quickly. And what's happened was Paul wrote a letter, which was 1 Corinthians, to the church in Corinth. They were doing some terrible things, some stupid things, and Paul had to confront them, and he kind of put them under distress. And it was a painful letter, and he knew they had two ways that they could respond to it. And fortunately, they responded the right way. Listen what Paul says, 7th chapter, 2 Corinthians. He says, "You let the distress bring you to God, not drive you away from him." And the result was all gain, no loss. I'm reading out of the Message. So you have two choices. You can allow the stress, you can allow the pain in your life to draw you to God or away from God. Unfortunately, there's so many people in life that have gone through a painful situation, maybe a death of a loved one, a spouse, a child, and it's so overwhelming, they so can't comprehend that God would allow that to happen that they just totally push God away. And they create regrets and fall away from the Lord. Others know that it's only through the Lord that they can make it through those painful times, through those distressing times. It goes on to say that distress drives us to God, and it turns us around. It gets us back in the way of salvation, and we never regret that kind of pain. So he knew the pain was there, but in the long run, it would be beneficial. There would be no regrets. Those who let distress drive them away from God are full of regrets and end up on a deathbed of regrets. And he goes on to say, "And now, isn't it wonderful all the ways in which this distress has goaded you closer to God?" So if you've allowed the pain in your life to allow you to move toward God, you've probably experienced some of this or will. And it says, it says you're more alive, you're more concerned, you're more sensitive, you're more reverent, you're more human, you're more passionate, you're more responsible. And looking at from any angle, you've come out of this with purity of heart. If you will allow God to use that distress, use that painful time, draw closer to him, you will have your heart purified. You will mature. You will draw closer to him, and you can live life with no regrets. I pray that's you. God bless. Thanks for joining me for that morning cup of inspiration, and we'll see you next time.